repair electronics. We make repairing of broken electronics possible even by low-qualified engineers in small service companies all over the world. We know the market well because we work on it by years. So we can.
Nobody in the world knows that. Yeah. Thank you. Nobody wants to know anything about you or your background. Like, have you ever seen Mr. Steve Jobs coming and saying, "My name is Stephen Paul Jobs, and I represent a company I co-founded back in 1970. I think it was on the side of 76. I was adopted, and I have, yes, and I have an adopted sister too. And I also know my real parents. My real parents are in fact from San Francisco. Well, in fact, one has it. In the business world, nobody's interested of you except for after you have made it, okay? Once you become a celebrity, like Mikki Honkavara, everybody likes to know, hey, he was a freestyle fucking skier with no talent, but made this Takkvilla team, okay? Don't video. So,
don't video. I won't put it online.
Next team was Huki, they're not here. Stagecraft. Stagecraft. I like the first one too. She's good. No, not you. Him. Okay?
We make one-night games for the average gamer who is living his busy years by selling tickets to an downloadable client. By selling tickets to a free downloadable client.
So you have this, the classic lemonade thing. Little Elizabeth has this wonderful recipe for the juice. Now, for the lemonade. And now she puts this thing and she says, I want to be a gazillionaire, and she says, I'm gonna sell this. And she sits there and waits and nobody comes and nobody buys. And don't come to me saying, none of you come to me and say, well, we'll put it on the internet. Because if you put something on the internet, you're fucked. Because nobody will find anything on the internet. Because it's even worse than little Elizabeth going and selling, I want to sell this, okay? So, think of the how. If you are planning on selling through the internet, then think about how people will find you. How you will make a difference, such a difference that people will find you, okay? You don't have to perform now, you can think about it. If you find a solution, send it to me, I'll patent it and license it to you for free, okay? Because it's not an easy task, is it? Look at Yahoo, okay? Are Yahoo doing like, Yahoo? They're like, whoa, instead of Yahoo, it's boo. Okay. Metro DRT. Metro DRT.
Metro DRT, we offer a transport service, so you no longer need a private car in the future. Target group is current private car users, and how is that we will provide quality of private car with the price of the public transport.
How the fuck are you going to do that? I don't know. Hey, you have one customer. I want a pilot.
Okay.
I'm a pilot customer.
Let's sign.
Okay, that's good. Then we have the Cristo. You didn't even rework anything. I saw you standing there and because you think that you will pull it off because you smile so nicely. No, no, no.
Thank you.
Up. Easy, take it easy. And don't keep your hands on your waist. Good. Focus. Deliver.
PhoneRang is a mobile application that recommends you activities and people. It's made for Facebook mobile users in main cities in the world, and we test the model in Helsinki. We understand the users and customers in Helsinki, then we go city by city selling it in app stores and getting the users in the world.
Selling in the app store.
That's where you get the app.
Among the 185,000 other apps.
Yes.
That's good. They'll probably find you PhoneRang by the name because it's such a fun thing to find PhoneRang. Lisa. And I heard from somewhere that it was a surprise to you that Lisa is a common first name amongst women in Finland.
Yeah, so Lisa monitoring provides the means for brands to hear what's being said about them on the internet for small languages. So we're going to sell it to retailers, manufacturers, and service providers, and ad and media agencies via direct sales.
Have you done this before? Like talked about what you do?
Well, yeah, a few times maybe.
Co-housing Suomi. That was good. Co-housing Suomi. And don't take this personally. Take it easy. No. When you enter a stage, stand there. When you enter a stage, you have to take the stage. Always start with a break. Go through the eyes of the crowd. Establish a direct contact and think and decide at the very beginning to whom you will be talking. You will have to create a dynamic with the group you are talking. And if the group is too big, if it's a crowd of 2,000 people and you don't see anybody, you have to decide what are the points that you will look at and talk to when you are performing. If you don't do that, you look like a lousy person who just comes and is afraid to say something and comes and talks and keeps. No. You have to take the scene. And the bigger the thing, the bigger your idea, the bigger you have to appear. If you change the world of dentistry, people will have to look at you and say, God damn it, this is Thomas Alva Edison of the dentistry. You have to perform. Because if you don't, they'll forget you. If you're an eeny, meeny, deal machine, we do people are like but he can take shit, you know, so. Slow down. Don't look at me. You're selling it to everybody. And an open mimic. Open yourself. Nobody wants to. Or.
Okay. We are giving people.
Start with a break. Go through the eyes of the crowd. They have the time to do that.
Hello. We are giving for you possibility to choose where do you want to live, and we are doing it by we are taking copy pasting away from the construction business by collecting people and then selling them to construction firms.
Dentatube is a very difficult thing. You are so different from all of these services, and that's why I will not give you the similar kind of shit that the others are receiving. I'm looking at you differently. I'm giving you worse shit because you think that you know better. That's good. Honesty and what's this thing called? Humble. Being humble. And what's the other good word that starts with ha, ha, that goes well together with humble? Hungry. Humble and hungry is the hunter who will find its prey and catch it, okay? Humble, hungry, and what was the third one? Hunter. The person, okay? Humble, hungry hunter. Humble, hungry hunters with the teeth of the hunters. Go and catch your prey.
So, Dentatube. It provides a solution that is built from a camera and a network. It is specialized, it's special for dentists, students who do dentistry, and then the whole manufacturing area in the dental science. This solution creates a pool of all dentists' individual knowledge and combines that to a solution, to an opportunity to each dentist to create and support their further studies and knowledge.
Wow.
Thank you.
And you guys, you know your shit. Go on. And now remember, take this because this tape will be used, put on Vimeo, the guy who thought he knew it all, okay?
No, I don't think that. But so, Deal Machine is about making sales more exciting, meaningful, and most of all, profitable. And so we are targeting the SME companies with 3 to 30 salespeople, and of course, especially their sales managers who are going to make the buying decision. And how we're going to do this? First of all, we're using game mechanics to provide sense of mastery and self-direction. And we're going to sell to key lead customers and reward them for inviting other customers.
Okay. Thank you. Now everybody knows what everybody does. And this is the time when, you know, this Kiev, do you hear? Is this Kiev? Yes, this is Kiev. This is Paris. I'm looking at Titan VGA, and now I understood what you're talking about. You're about to deliver a solution that enables the fixing of things that have broken. Okay? When things break, you enable them to be serviced easily. Okay? That's a big thing. Especially within the European Union, there's this law that dictates that all the, the manufacturers are responsible for the life cycle, blah, blah, blah. So if you can attack that with a functioning service concept that is scalable, okay, scalable, you might have a big break there. But you have to move fast. But it's a good idea. Hooky, I know Hooky. Well, we're so good. We'll have a board meeting. We're important people. Stagecraft. I've never played any computer games, but I have a good friend who bought the first Max Payne game. For weeks, the guy was like, I come out of the elevator and I get shot. For weeks. So, kids went to bed, wife went to bed, it was Saturday night, he was drinking his red wine, he was like, now I can try to get out of the elevator. And for weeks, the guy was trying to get out of the fucking elevator. So I do understand your business point. Make it something fun, make it something that people understand, Being stuck in an elevator for weeks is no fun. Isn't it? That's why I don't. If I have an hour time, I rather go to Yle Arena and watch something like the mobile horror movie. That everybody needs to read the mobile horror. View mobile horror. It's in Finnish, but you have to. It's like mobile horror on Yle Arena. This is the best thing ever to come out of Finland on TV. Yle Arena. It's oh shit. It is a very, very good sarcastic thing about the way the entrepreneurship world is. Okay, so you have an idea, you have a good thing, coming. Metro DRT. Now I'm going to take my shirt off. What does it say on the shirt? What is Gotland Ring? Gotland Ring is a startup project that started in '97 when a friend of mine and myself, we decided that we need a racetrack somewhere in the vicinity of Helsinki. Not a racetrack, but a circuit where people could test new technologies, could practice and train how to drive when it's sleep, shit like that. In Finland, we didn't get the approval because everybody said, well, you're going to get the Formula 1 and it's going to be terrible and it will be lots of noise and Kimi Räikkönen, we don't like it. And we said, no. We think that the world will change into a direction where economically and ecologically sound technology development needs to be done somewhere close by in the vicinity of people and roads and stuff like that. And they said, no. What happened, we said, fuck Finland, and went to Sweden, and we have a racetrack now on Gotland, where we have launched on our racetrack the hydrogen car by Honda. We have launched the BMW 1 Series World launch. We have a racetrack. We had a dream, we had a vision, and we can prove it. You know, this is a startup that I created, or was involved in creating, that is viewable into the fucking sky. But it's a dream, and therefore I know pretty much what you're looking, how you want to change. Okay? It's a big, huge thing, and there's one group of companies who, in fact, dictate how fast. There are two groups of companies that dictate how fast that development will take place. You know those like your enemies? Who do you think are your enemies?
What is our enemy is quite big enemy. It's the car manufacturers.
Financing companies, and Chinese companies. The only two pools of cash in the world currently, moneta, eh? The only two pools of cash currently in the world lie in the hands of financing companies and refinancing companies and the Chinese companies. Everybody else is fucking bankrupt. They may be big industries, they may be big companies, lots of people working, but you know what? They ain't got no cash. The only people who have cash are the Chinese and the financing companies. So if your business has anything to do with these two establishments, you're fucked. Okay? Like your business, who builds the houses? Well, it's the financing companies and the banks to whom they have lended and blah, 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 who dictate how stuff is being built. So even though we all would say, oh, we want to do it like this, they would say, you ain't gonna get no mortgage. And you'll be like, so I'm gonna sit in this built by ANSES, all the apartments look alike regardless of where they are located, you know, and it's not a decision made by us. You have to liberate your thought from the analog world. And this is a trend. This is a trend that most of the people don't understand. There is a ever heard of these words? Now, what is the, there were lots of people who lifted, they raised their hands and said, I'll do this for money. That reminds me of it, just in brackets, you know, there's a great saying in Singapore that says, your prostitutes, your virgins who are prostitutes. That is what startups are. You are virgins because you are doing it for yourself, but you're selling yourself all the time in order to get financing for your stuff, okay? So you're virgins but prostitutes. What was that? Analog digital. What is the thing that everyone, some of them, you know, I'm doing this for money. So where does money belong? In what world?
Analog.
Not anymore.
He's from Turku. I'm from Turku.
Yes.
Now I'm from Espoo. Now, EPS and Blues played a hockey game the other night. What happened? Was it like 7-0? In the digital world, and this is a story that I told in the summer, remember the thing about the book that I bought with a... Back in the summer, I was looking at my Twitter feed, and there was this thing, you want to have this book. Book, very good book. So I go to the website and look at the book. Wow, this is a good book. I want to read this book. And it said, pay with a tweet. Pay with a tweet. So there's this book. There are these people who have written this book and put a lot of effort into this writing of this book. And I can pay with a tweet. So I click and Aape's huge reputation was used. The legend of Aape the Great was used amongst my 22 followers. I have over 200 followers, okay? I hope I will have some more, but I will drop most of them. over time. What that means is that in the digital world, my fame and my claim to fame and my reputation is worthy of getting something that somebody else has produced. Isn't it weird? I contacted the guys. I wrote them an email and said, hey, I've been working in the digital space since 1987, and you know, Nicolas Negroponte wrote this, and Alvin Toffler and Third Wave, and they wrote back to me and said, you weird Finn, we think that we will make money on selling the book, the physical book, the analog book. Because who wants to read a 385-page book on a PDF file? Who prints it out on A4s and has this go? I have this book that I'm going to read. But it just proves the case that you can buy stuff in the digital world with absolutely no money. So if you move and work in the digital space, forget about money. Forget about money? Yes, forget about money. Because you don't know who and how will pay for your product until you have proven your case. There's an old quote by a famous Melstanian surf guy. Your technology or your service is just as valuable as is the amount of users who use it. The Finnish innovation industry has produced lots of absolutely great inventions and lots of patents. There are, for example, already in the late 80s, patents filed for broadcasting video over very, very, very slow connection using the ISDN circuits. A guy who was Harri Santamäki actually ran the company for a while. Harri was then involved in the Nokia thing and blah, blah, blah. And now, 25 fucking years after that, Apple comes and says, with iPhone 4 you can do FaceTime. That enables to use the patents that already went out, so I ran out of time, that were filed by the Finns in the 80s. Okay? So there's a thing called how and when. And if you start planning, if you say, this is the time machine. I'm not using a touchpad time machine because it might be difficult to use. So people want to put precisely in the date and time where they wish to travel to. And now I come and I developed this somewhere here in Aaltoes University, you know. If not ready. And then you come out and say, no. This enables you to travel in time very precisely to the time and location where you want to.
Thank you.
And now you look at it and you say, but there's no numbers. There's no calendar. There's no calendar metaphor. It's only fucking arrows and red dots and stuff like that. You're like, then you should pose me the question, how do I select the number?
How do I select the number?
It is very easy. We are using a technology that has been developed that is reinventing, in fact, the TCP/IP packet header, because we can put the bit here and we can put the byte here, and that enables a revolutionary transaction that enables us to hover among the user interface and thus creating a splendid user experience. And the inventor is like, I just changed the word, the user is, do you know how to use it?
Yes, I can at least change the aspect ratio of the camera.
And now the Finnish engineer comes and says, the customers are stupid. And this is something that you will experience. And the more focused you get on your own product and your own little world, and the better you plan it, and the more, you know, I have this plan, I will go tomorrow there and do this and do that. And all of a sudden you will notice that everybody else on the planet is stupid.
Yeah, damn right.
So don't do that. Don't plan. Don't plan, in fact, don't plan on anything else that startup and pitching. I hate pitching. I hated pitching. I hated pitching for 20 years. 23 years. 20. Yeah, I haven't loved it. Okay, 18 years at least. I hated pitching. I hated this thing called value proposition. When I started selling Finnish software internationally back in 1993. We went with Brosco Systems, and I moved to the Netherlands first to start the international sales organization for Brosco Systems, Data Fellows, which is now F-Secure, and then the Solid. So I moved there. We had this project, blue and white and blue. Internationalization of the Finnish software industry. And back in those days, when we went to the Ministry of Economics, you know, we went there and we said, it was Arturi Tarjan and myself and what is this Risto guy? We were there and said that by this and this year, the Finnish software industry is going to be an export industry of 1 billion Finmarks, including Nokia software and stuff like that. You know what the guy did who sat there? 1 billion Finmarks, you guys are a joke. We were like, because we thought that the Finnish software industry, or service industry, digital service industry could be very good. Could be a big business. So then I moved abroad because I could. Well, I had recently divorced and I had a young kid, so I could leave them back, you know, don't have to worry about that. Rebuilding my life and, you know, so we also went to California. There's this thing, colliding thing, and you have these Lawrence Livermore labs and stuff like that. We were selling an executive information system. Krista, what the fuck are you doing? Listen to me. You haven't heard this war story yet.
No, I'm sorry. I thought that we'll finish at 11. I'm chasing my meeting from 11 to 12. I tried to do that, so.
Should we wait for that?
Then continue. I'm listening to Krista's story.
So we had built this beautiful thing, and we had patent applications, and it was supported by Apple Computer, it was supported by Oracle, and we were there and we had this meeting. And there were two things that happened in that meeting. First of all, this guy who was buying technologies for this in Silicon Valley University, so there's a guy who knows pretty much all the startups back in those days, and he looks at me and says, because Mika was the Finnish guy, and well, this he didn't speak too much, so I was the loudmouth. And the guy looked at me and said, what's your value prop? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't even know what value prop was. And you know, value, okay, value, yeah, value. Prop. So I didn't answer the question, which obviously was a bad thing. So remember, we had developed this technology in Finland using Finnish engineers, and it was the world's best technology. And then the guy said, okay, you guys can hook up into any Oracle database? I was like live. So we took this Mac PowerBook, opened it wasn't Mac PowerBook, it was like, yeah, we opened it and then put this Ethernet cable, click, and RG45, and then we said, what's the address? So typed in and we found the database and we made a connect. Now, in Finland, our customer had been the Finnish Meteorological Institute, FMI. And there had been huge amounts of data at FMI, at least thousands of daily rows, you know, thousands of data rows every day. So we were used to being fast. When we made the connect, the guy stood up and said, guys want a coffee? We were like, what the fuck? So yeah, we were like, yeah. So the guy went away and we were left there with Mika and we were like, the guy came back after 10 minutes and said, you guys want some water or something? I have a couple of calls to make, so I'll leave you here, okay? Are done? Okay. After 45 minutes, the guy comes back and says, hey, guys, I think we continue tomorrow. You can leave the machine right there. And by that time, we had already called like Finland, the developers. Hey, what's happening? You know, mitä nyt siellä on käynyt jotenkin jumissa tämmöinen, mitä pitää tehdä. Then the guy said, we'll buy the software, 10 licenses of it, because you need to make the sale. You obviously need to make the sale. But do you have any idea what is the amount of data that we gather in a day? We were like, 10,000 rows. The guy was like, we collect 100,000 rows each second. So, two things that I learned from this. A, you need to know that you're good. If you go to the places where the best guys are, you gotta be fucking good. Okay? Second thing, you have to know what your value is. The value proposition is not what you do, but what you enable. What you enable is, in your case, the pool of joint global knowledge for dentists. For them to give to and enjoy. So you are talking about a, we don't have the time for the break, sorry. You're talking about a meritocratic society. Anybody know what this word means?
Yeah.
No.
You know what this, anybody know what this word means?
It is a society where everything is based on merits. You know, you're better if you're highly qualified, or like a,
If you have achieved, if you have done. And the money thing is, plutocratic. Pluto driven by money, by ownership. And then there's the society that the startup always has to represent, which is the third dog in the same family. There are three dogs in this family: meritocracy, plutocracy, and democracy. Now this is a huge thing for each of the startups. This is something that you don't usually hear anywhere because this is esoteric. This is like the NLP thing, you know. I refer to stuff that somehow is on the fringe. Democracy means that you have to negotiate your way as a startup through rapids when you're going down, or if you're sailing, you know, there's high gusts. If you're skiing, there's like ice coming from it. If you're windsurfing, you know, there's a gust, and if you're surfing, you know, there's Carl, so you know, or a photographer, you know, you have to negotiate. Don't laugh. You know, are you making fun of me?
No, we got the photographer playing. Yeah, that's okay.
Do I surf?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
My good friend Timo, I used to surf a lot. My good friend Timo Järvinen is a photographer. One of the best, the only Finn who has ever shot the border, you know, the big covers. Timo Järvinen. And we had this, in fact, this group on Facebook to get him to show his images in chiasma. We aren't that many in that group. Join. He always explains, like, you know, he's shooting this guy and he's like, you know, the wave is, the sun is perfect, he's like somehow keeping us, and then he hears the sound, he's like, what? It's not fun to be, you know, hit by a board on the head, because he's a tough one. He ain't using no helmet. Okay. Do you know a group of people called Wikipedia? Now, if I'm Steve Jobs, or if I'm Aape Pohjavirta, if I'm Juha Ruohonen, and I say I have a gazillion euros and I wanna participate in this Wikipedia project, and I want you to support me and make out a press release. What will Wikipedia say? Sorry. Now, if I go to Microsoft and say, I can give you this much money and you put out a press release, what will they say?
Keep going.
So there are, you know, and you as a startup, you have to attract both. You're like, so you have to be very democratic in your approach, because you'll never know who's your best friend tomorrow. Your tomorrow's best friend is someone, probably someone or something you haven't yet met. But this is written in the values of the startup. If you run your startup only because of money, or if you are only running after the financing, there's lots of startup guys who say the financing system in Finland sucks, and you know, I don't have it. If I had the money, you know, I would do it. If I had If you had the talent, you would have the money. If your business idea would be that you know, people with money would come and give it to you. Once again, what are the 3 questions that really liberate you from this meritocracy, plutocracy, democracy thing? What are the 3 questions that liberate you from the burdens of the society?
What, who, how?
Those are absolutely neutral. I have spoken with guys who represent the Taliban about education. And education, you've probably heard the Talibans are like throwing acid in the faces of the girls when girls go to school. So they apparently don't like education of women. But I've spoken with them. I've spoken about education because all I was talking about was education to people. Make it as clean, crisp, pure, and thin. Then you can probably and hopefully, if you're good, if you don't suck, and if you're not lousy, then you might succeed. You're yawning. We need to take a 2-minute break. Get up, because we're going to do a very funny exercise. We're going to do a new exercise, an exercise that you've never done before. You will do pitching for each other. Good. 2 minutes.
Break or pitch?
Break. This is a break. 2-minute break.